Welcome to Dysfunctional Adults, the comedy podcast in which we discuss weird news, pop culture, and being middle-aged dads. Yeah. We are bitter, cynical Gen Xers saddled with crippling debt and depressingly past our primes. But that's what makes this podcast so much fun.
Hey guys,
Hi.
Hi, Jason.
welcome to this very special episode of Dysfunctional Adults.
It is a very special episode.
You know, we don't introduce ourselves like we used to.
We probably should, huh?
I think so.
I'm Jason. I have 4 kids. On my second marriage, and I have a master's degree, but make as much as a telemarketer.
Well, I didn't mean like we have to tell our life story every single week, but we used to like say our name, like, "Hi, I'm John.
You set me up for
This
that.
is Jason. This is Zach." You know.
Hi, I'm also Jason. I did it wrong.
Damn it. Maybe we shouldn't introduce ourselves. It's just too confusing to remember our own names.
I have a hard time with it.
I'm Zach.
I'm John.
Okay, fine. I'm the only one who gave my bio. You guys suck. We got a guest tonight. Hi, guest.
Hello. Do you want my embarrassing bio as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, first of all, this is. Let me just introduce. This is. What do you want to go by, Chuck? Just Chuck or C.J. Workman or Realm Right?
DJ, a crap face.
So Chuck is an author, also a anthropologist, and one of the smartest guys I know. He is an armchair historian, and pretty much any subject that's cool, he's an expert in, like battle tactics or survival. He's whoa! Did you just hit one of our?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Chuck is awesome, and we're glad to have him with us tonight. And now it's your turn to tell us a little bit about yourself, Chuck.
Okay, I debunk everything Jason just said. If I'm the smartest guy he knows, he really needs to widen his circle.
He's got to get out a little bit more, huh?
No.
Yeah. I've told him to stop calling me an author because that implies that I like write and publish things.
He's got 2 published works, so
More than me.
Yeah, exactly. Limericks on a men's room wall don't count as being an author per se. But if you've actually published something, we'll count that.
Yeah. Well, Jason kind of made me. He dragged me into that light, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, because you've got mad talent, man. You just need to. He's got good stuff, so you got to check out his.
You sound like so many of my teachers ever. You have such talent if you would just apply yourself to becoming something.
No, I didn't say that part.
He said it before the show, before he called you, though.
Most certainly didn't. But Chuck is the author of 2 books. Do you want to tell us a little bit about them?
Oh, I'm trying to even remember. There's like so many half-finished, half-assed projects of mine. It's like, which ones have actually been on print now?
Which ones did you use your full ass on?
Yeah. Like Ron Swanson said, never half-ass anything, whole-ass one thing.
Exactly.
Well, I know that there's the Weird Salt Lake, right? Weird
Wasatch.
Weird Wasatch. What the heck is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Weird Wasatch. It's a anthology of weird local stories, fiction stories.
Yeah. Well, and I did that because like the kicking and screaming that was mentioned. I read and like reviewed, critiqued, whatever you want to call it, Jason's first book that was Valkyria, Children of the Crystal Star, for anyone who does not know. And that was the first time I met Jason. A mutual friend of ours dragged me to D&D night. I was like, I refuse to venture that far into the deep dork forest and buy polyhedral dice and make character sheets. And Marcus was like, no, you got to come. You and Jason would get along so great. You're both like these hyper creative nerds. And Jason, he was like, Jason just wrote a book. You should read it. He's always looking for feedback. So Jason brought a copy. He refused to let me pay him for it. I read it in like, I don't know, a couple days, I think. And I had, because it was like back then we were playing pretty consistently, and it was like the next session I had like a binder full of feedback for him. And I was like, why did all the names start with A? And he's like, shut up, I didn't even notice that.
It's true, they do.
I broke him, and then he was like, okay, so I'm going to do an anthology where a bunch of other writers I know contribute stories, and you're going to. And it wasn't presented as like a choice so much as a direct order. And I was like, okay. And like my wife would tell you, I kind of stopped listening about halfway through a conversation. And I still swear, Jason said, I need 100,000 words. And he was like, no, I said like no more than 30.
And he gave me like 60,000 words, which is a novella. No, it was 40, wasn't it? Anyway, it was more than a short story.
Long. Yeah. It was a lot, because that was in like October. And I was like hemming and hawing, because he's like, okay, here's like the different powers that the Kalira, like the children have. And I was like, oh, I call dibs on the healer, because like that's the power I would want. So that was in like probably early October. I went to my sister's place back east for Christmas, was bored out of my mind because there was like nothing to do at her house besides read and or write. So I just I'd been mulling it over, and I kind of had some ideas, and I just started writing. And by March, I think I'd hit the 30,000 with no signs of stopping or reaching any kind of resolution in the story. And I just kept going. And it was like halfway through April, Jason's like, okay, shut up. Give me like the 65,000 words you have on paper. We're going to have to cut a bunch of it anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was like, I think we ended, like we printed, I want to say like just under 30,000. So we cut out
a lot out. Yeah.
Yeah. We cut like half.
And it hurt because it was excellent. But yeah, I think we need to recreate that situation. Can I get you at your sister-in-law's again for, some more writing?
Well, that's the problem. Is it's a 5-hour flight and then a 2-hour car ride. When you have a bad back, you get there and you drink about a mason jar worth of whiskey, and then you just let your muse take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel,
Well, John's an author too. He won't ever talk about it, but he co-authored Thomas Destiny with me. So
yeah,
and he just looks at me like,
"Let's look and nod."
So, well, awesome. We're really great. We're glad to have you tonight. You're always fun to talk to, and a lot of people know you as the cosplay doctor from Fan X. So
yep, costume medic.
Yeah. So and other Comic Cons we went to in Wyoming. So,
yeah, drove across the wilds of Wyoming at the drop of a hat to cover for somebody.
That was our own Brokeback Mountain story. So
that was. We always reference that one night in Cheyenne. I can feel the devil sliding up to me.
Well, folks, or fellas, what have you been up to this week, Zach?
I've been watching. Let's see. I just watched Cloud Atlas.
Oh, that came out a while ago, right? With Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm. And that was pretty well done.
Is it?
I enjoyed that. And I think I said last week I was watching Resident Alien, which is pretty funny. That one cracks me up. I'm waiting for a second season of that to come out because that's pretty funny. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's about all I've been doing.
Cool. And you shaved your head, and you look pretty badass right now.
I did shave my head, yeah. I look like I'd be a badass, but I'm just a big teddy bear.
You've gone Walter White on us, I think. So.
Yeah, I'm cooking meth. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, that's awesome. What about you, John? What you been up to?
Well, my New Year's resolutions to get in better shape aren't going well, thanks to that 5-pound bag of gummy bears you left at my house from our New Year's Eve party. You're like laughing and like twiddling your mustache.
Better you than me.
Yeah, I think that's part of your master plan. Like the more weight I gain, the better you'll look in comparison.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So I've been pounding that down.
That's funny because I have a plan of like creating a big scar across your face somehow, just in an accident. I don't know, so that I can look better.
He'd actually look pretty cool with a scar. I think it would have the opposite effect.
If I had like one eye closed with like a scar through it,
yeah,
I think I'd look.
Yeah,
it'd look pretty badass. So I don't think you want to do that.
Like Hudson from Gargoyles or Josie Wales. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or every
I'll
anime.
do it. I'll give you that scar. I know a medic. He'll sew it up and make sew it up rough enough it'll leave a scar.
Every anime general in every anime has a one of those scars, the trailing.
Yeah.
So
So it's a plan then?
I haven't signed up.
You guys
for that
hold
one
him
yet.
down. I'll heat up my pocket knife and just slowly drag it down his face like Rambo.
there's no time to sanitize.
Yeah. So other than eating handfuls of gummy bears, I've been building lots of Legos. With 3 kids for Christmas and my oldest birthday that is just a couple weeks before Christmas, I think we had something like 14 Lego sets just waiting to be built.
Wow.
And they like to play with Legos, but they don't like building them. They want me to build them,
Right.
and so they can play with them. And so,
Dad, build this X-Wing so I can throw it against the wall.
Yeah.
Like that.
pretty much. And so that's mostly what I've been doing.
Seriously, it's like, is this Luke's X-Wing? It's like, no, it's Porkins. Slam! Like, down he goes.
Exactly.
Oh man.
I would though. I would like to add a heartfelt and sincere R.I.P. to Betty White, though.
Yeah, we talked about her on our last the day she died.
Yeah, we joked about her like a couple episodes back, and then the day that episode aired, she happened to die.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So that was really bad timing to joke about it.
It's really all on you,
But-
Jason.
it really is.
In all seriousness, Betty White was a legend. Like, we talk about all the shows we like and stuff, and there's not like a bigger TV icon than her. I mean,
Right.
she's been a TV icon for like 70 years. So anyone who appreciates TV has got to have respect for her career.
My homework or my show and tell tonight has to do with her, actually.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. I
In
thought about
memoriam.
that too. Cause, yeah, I mean, like, even though like we probably weren't the target audience for a show like The Golden Girls.
I used to watch it
I
all
was.
the time. No, I really watched it. With my
Yeah, I ran
grandma.
home from elementary school to watch it. I don't know
Hell
about
yeah.
you guys. It was Batman, Gargoyles, Golden Girl.
Golden Girls. But even like if you didn't watch that show, like I saw reruns on it when I was like sick from school sometimes, but I didn't really watch it. But
I'd watch it late at night and pleasure myself.
We
she
know.
she was on like so many things though. She guest starred on like several of my favorite shows. Like, do you remember her in Community?
I do. Yeah.
She was that like crazy survivalist with the crossbow.
She was an anthropologist.
Yeah, and she like
There
Boom.
you go.
did she like hog tie Jeff and got fired or something like that.
She was drinking her own urine.
Yeah. She was the grandma on that 70s show. And she guest starred on
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah, she was.
Yeah.
That's right.
And she guest starred on Saturday Night Live when she was like in her late 80s. She was like the oldest guest host they ever had. And I mean, she was in like dirty skits and vulgar skits and stuff. It was hilarious because she's like America's grandma.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's what I always said. Is she's like the grandma that America wants. And you're like, grandma's kind of nasty.
Yeah. She had an awesome
Dirty hot.
she had an awesome sense of humor, and she'd poke fun at herself and everything else. Like, did you ever see that movie Lake Placid?
No, with the alligator.
It was a cheesy horror movie from the late 90s or early 2000s about a giant alligator in a lake, and she was like the vulgar old lady whose property was on in that movie, dropping profanities and saying dirty stuff. And it's just hilarious hearing
The sweet old lady.
yeah, America's grandma using language like that, because
Yep.
she had an awesome sense of humor. I love Betty White, so
Cloris Leachman was a close second.
yeah, she's still alive though, right?
I think
No,
she
she died
recently.
last year, maybe.
Yeah.
Did she?
It's been pretty recently. Yeah.
It had to be, because she was still doing the voice of the grandma in the second Cruise movie, which just came out like,
Oh wow.
well, I guess that was like 2 years ago. So
It was.
1 year ago. So
Yeah.
she was alive at least a year ago.
Hmm.
But anyway, so R.I.P. Betty White. We will miss you.
Yes, we will.
It's funny you brought up Legos because so to give this context, my wife's a little bit younger than me, and we get grief over it sometimes, there's kind of an age gap thing going on. Well, her favorite thing to do since Christmas, because she got Legos from her parents and from my mom, is to just sit on the floor while we watch TV and play with Legos. And I'm like, this kind of gives a creep factor to our relationship, right? I'm like, put away your Legos and come to bed.
Jason had to take it there.
I did. So anyway, but she's funny. She loves her Legos.
You say all of that after talking about how much you would pleasure yourself to Betty White.
Well, I gotta go the extremes, man. I gotta go the extremes. So, except not illegally.
Right. So from like it's either 100 or 18. There's no in between.
But now that I have an 18-year-old son, it just
you've upped it to like 20 or 21.
Well, what's funny is I remember a couple years ago, John and I were at Fan X, and I was commenting on one of the attractive cosplay girls, and John turned to me, he's like, that we could be her dad, right? Because I hadn't thought about that because I don't think of myself as old. And then it hit me, and I'm like, oh, gross. And so he ruined Fan X for me. So anyway.
Yep.
But yeah. So, what have you been up to, Chuck? What have you been doing with your time?
Nothing.
Nothing?
So we just barely, today we had the final inspection on a house remodel that was supposed to take 6 weeks and took 6 months.
Oh, no.
Which, if HGTV has taught me anything, it takes way more money and 5 times as long. They lie. The editors do one hell of a job to make it look like it can all be done in a 45-minute episode.
You're like, what do you mean you're going home for tonight? It's not done yet.
Yeah, no, the painters were here New Year's Eve until 8 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
It's been crazy because we started talking about it in probably March because we got sent home because of COVID, not because we had COVID, but just, the work from home thing. It was everybody go home. And it was is this going to be a 30-day thing, maybe a 60-day thing? And then it was just that wait until they finally said it's basically indefinite. And then, my wife's working in the living room and I'm working at the dining table. And if we have calls, one of us has to go downstairs or go out to the garage or something, so you're not talking over each other.
Yeah.
And we were just you know what? We need to do something to the house to make this more feasible. So we were going to do an addition over the garage. It was going to have 500 square feet.
Oh, wow.
And we planned for that. We had plans drawn up for that. We got building permits. And then we just happened to have a building inspector here looking at our electrical panel to see if it could carry the load. And he's like, well, there's no foundation under your garage, right? And we're like, no, we did not know that.
Wow.
Because it's all closed in, there's masonry on the front of it from the previous owners. And so we thought it was a garage. And they were like, no, this is just a carport they closed in. You've got a concrete pad for the floor and that's it. And they were like, you start putting any weight on this, it's going to sink. You cannot build on top of this unless you spend about $30,000 in concrete just to shore it up. And we're like, okay, so plan B, I guess we'll just redo the basement.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
Yeah. So, we still made it work. It makes me sound a lot cooler because now I'm going to be like, honey, I'm going to be in the garage for the day. The garage is my hobby, nerd craft, dungeon craft. That will be my office now that it's all we had to insulate it, and we've got a heater out there and stuff. So it's an actual usable space. It's not just this plywood box anymore. So that's been our year basically since I think it was about July when they said you can't build over the garage. So in August we started the whole knock down walls, do electrical, expand the bathroom kind of stuff. So that's been my life since August.
I feel you. We've been remodeling our house, as anyone who's listened to this show will know. So, but it looks like a house now. So,
every time I live through a remodel, I'm like, never again. It's like that night after a serious drinking binge when you're like, never again, and then you do it again a couple of years later, just why?
Kind of like a 5-pound bag of gummy bears. It looks good at first.
That convenient amnesia sets in, and
that's how moving is
time
too.
to do it again.
Yeah,
I hate moving so badly. I'll stay in this house probably the rest of my life, even if it turns out I hate it or it's haunted or something, just because I hate moving so badly.
You're going to be buried in the backyard.
Yeah, moving is just the worst. Yeah, remodeling is along the same veins. It's awful.
Well, because you're basically moving without going anywhere. Like, you still have to box up all your stuff, get it out of the house. We've moved the same piles of furniture like 5 times. I'm like, I'm so sick of this. Just burn it. Just put it in the driveway and burn it.
Oh, man, I feel that for sure. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with some listener. We got some listener mail?
Yeah.
All right. No? Well, John does.
I got one. You guys not have any?
I was like, you guys get mail?
Yeah, well, we
It's a
do.
bigger thing than I would thought.
Yes.
We do have some listener mail, so we'll be right back with listener mail.
It's now time for listener mail.
All right.
I'm scared, you guys.
That cracks me up every time we play that.
It's just so ominous because you never know what to expect.
So it looks like it's light load this week. We only have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to read it?
Why don't Zach read it?
All right. I think it mentions him anyway, so.
It's about me. Oh,
Well,
great.
not entirely, but it mentions you.
All right. Dear dysfunctional adults, well, that didn't take long. One time listening to your show and all my New Year's resolutions are already in the crapper. I had resolved to get better with money, but after hearing that fan mail where a listener promoted his new line of dysfunctional adults erotica, I felt compelled to send this guy a check for my entire life savings. What sounded like a once-in-a-lifetime can't miss investment opportunity turned out to be just a stack of napkins and with crudely drawn crayon stick figures having sex with each other. Then my second vow to stop masturbating ended abruptly as soon as I heard Zach speak. A simple hello from that melodic human Viagra pill was all it took for my formerly thrice-a-day habit to return with a vengeance. And of course, since this happened inside a Dairy Queen, my resolution to keep my nose clean and stay out of legal trouble immediately followed suit and fell by the wayside. So a week into the new year, and I'm already deep into my usual cycle of debt, legal troubles, and self-abuse. Thanks a lot, guys. Jimmy. Aw, Jimmy. I feel so honored.
Zach has that effect on all of us.
You do have a very nice voice.
Oh, you got it.
That's why we don't listen to this show in the middle of a Dairy Queen.
Right.
You wait until you're in the privacy of your own home.
They actually have signs at all the Dairy Queens now that say no dysfunctional adults listening.
I wish they did.
Yeah.
That would be so good for our podcast.
They really would. People would be like, what's this?
Maybe that's what we should do is go put those up around town. That'd be kind of funny.
Don't listen to dysfunctional adults while in public.
Yep.
You must have Trapper Keeper at hand.
Trapper Keeper to cover the,
Cover your boner.
the male response. So, but
Well, that was it for listener mail, huh?
yeah, it was I think everybody's busy because of New Year's. So
Well,
Yeah.
Jimmy, I'm sorry and thank you.
Human Viagra pill is Zach's. That's how we think of Zach.
why did we get so
It's his
many
new
that
name.
attack us? Like, it's almost like we're writing them about each other. I'm just saying.
Well, that one was complimentary in a backhanded sort of way, right?
Right.
Can we please not refer to hand emotion in regards to that letter?
Well played.
Oh man. All right. So
What are we going to do with all this extra time?
I didn't mean to cut us. Oh, we're only at 24 minutes. Well, we're going to talk to our guest because that's why he's here.
Yes, he is.
So, Chuck, you are like Jan Farstrider in Wheel of Time. You've been everywhere. You've learned everything. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your travels?
Well, there was that really awkward trip to Cheyenne with Jason.
We did mention that. And while you
I
say
thought that's been
And then there
spoken
was that-
about.
you say awkward, I
Yeah.
say romantic, but whatever,
Well, I mean, so this kind of, this really paints me in a negative light as far as like as a husband and a father goes. But that was that was my wife's first Mother's Day. Like we'd had our first kid, but
you spend it with me.
Yeah. Well, because it was so. Again, doesn't make me sound like a great husband or father, but I'm a hell of a friend because the guy at work,
the
guy at work had already bought. Yeah, nerds first, nerds before hoes. I don't know. But so a buddy at work is also a Comic-Con goer. He's got a booth. He's the worst Buddhist, Darren Lamb, who also contributed to Weird Wasatch. He's just awesome dude. Seen him this weekend for some stuff. He had gotten married. His father-in-law was suffering from cancer, and he just all of a sudden took a turn for the worse, and they weren't sure if he was going to make it. And he's like, I can't go to Cheyenne and leave my new wife with her dad if the worst happens. But he's like, I've already put the money down, and if there's just an empty booth, it's not going to go over well with the Comic-Con people. And I was like, cool. I was like, we'll do it. Give me your stuff. I'll take it. Me and Jason have stuff. We'll go man the booth. And he makes these cool little Buddha statues out of resin, like of all different colors, rainbow, blah, 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 blah. But then he puts like a Yoda head or a Batman head or a Dobby head on Buddha.
Nice.
And the one thing that you would get so many double takes is like the Rio de Janeiro Jesus, like the big cross up on the mountain. He did that, but it's Darth Vader.
That was definitely we had crowd stopper.
Yeah, we had the booth like this just lined with it. And the cool thing about the statues is because it's like a clear resin. If you set it on top of your phone while it's charging, your phone like lights it up like a nightlight. So I had my phone just like blinking, and so it's basically like police lights attracting people's attention, and they're double taking Vader Jesus. And we sold like easily probably 40 of those things, like just wheeling and dealing. But yeah, so it was like you just at the drop of a hat. Like Darren told me, I texted Jason. I was like, "Want to go to Cheyenne this weekend?" And he's like, "Sure." So book a last minute hotel. They had, one king bed left, so
we did not
made
share
that
it
work
for the record.
Yeah.
No.
So
yeah.
Jason being Jason was like, well, I'll drive. So we drive all the way across Wyoming.
And you guys survived.
He insists on sleeping on like the little love seat that like you can't really even fit on to sit down. And yeah, it was crazy. Like I don't go like nuts for celebrities at Comic-Con because I'm like, they're just really good looking people doing an awesome job. Like they're just people. But because I'm like the costume medic guy, there was a guy there dressed as a stormtrooper, and like one of his little shin guard pieces came off. And I'm like kind of fixing that. Like I take my Leatherman and some Gorilla Tape and whatever and just try to make it work. And there's nothing like makes you feel like just a bad Star Wars fan and a bad person to be repairing a stormtrooper's armor and look up and lock eyes with Billy D. Williams across the convention center. And you're like, Lando, I'm sorry.
Is he like shaking his head as he looks at you with a judgmental glare?
Well, he was like scrolling through his phone, and it was just one of those weird things where you just like you kind of feel eyes on you, and you look up, and you're looking at Lando, and you're like holding part of a stormtrooper, like, sorry, I'm not on his side. Like,
you shove the stormtrooper away. Get away from me, you imperial scum!
Yeah, get out of here. This is our Cloud City.
We don't help your kind here.
Yeah, no droid. But yeah, so that was.
He also helped fix a succubus's bra. So,
well, let's hear that story.
Tell it slowly.
Well,
embellish it if need be. This is going to keep me warm tonight.
Hang on, let me get my shirt off.
Right? Was that a zipper I just heard? Jason, put it away. Damn it. No, it was, so Darren and I both have this thing at Comic-Con because we're like, Darren's, I think, pushing 50. I'm 40, almost 41. And like, we just feel so old and out of touch because we don't know what most of the cosplay is. And we're like, oh, it's either from anime or some video game that has come out after Ocarina of Time. Like,
circa 1998.
Yeah. So we're lost most of the time. Nothing, just as an aside, nothing will make a cosplayer's day than you getting like an obscure reference. Because most of the time I don't know what the costume is I'm fixing, but then I'll see one that I'm like, that is the coolest, blah. And they're like, and it gives me like nerd cred. It's awesome. Kind of makes up for like the 29 before that I had no idea what they were. I just take them back together. But this was that at Cheyenne it was this, group of girls that, like, I don't know if it, because I see people with, like, a giant key, like, sword things that I think is a Kingdom Hearts thing. I don't know.
Yeah, usually.
But it's hard to tell because they come and then they buy stuff at the con that has nothing to do with the costume they're wearing, and then I'm confused because they're carrying this thing that I'm like, I don't think those go together. But, yeah, so it was this group of, like, 4 or 5 girls. One was an angel. One was, like, a devil succubus thing. And she had, a skull... she had skull shoulder, skull, like kneecap, skull chest piece. Like, it was like a demon Xena kind of thing is the closest I can describe it. And people never, like, they think up the idea for the costume, but they never think, how am I going to wear this all day? Like, how am I going to keep this from falling apart? And yeah, so that's why I started doing the costume medic thing. Is the first one here in Salt Lake. I went, my kid was like 6 months old, and we just went because it happens over my birthday weekend. And like, it was insane because it was huge. Like, they broke max occupancy at the Salt Palace. Like, they didn't know that was a thing until that happened. But there were so many people, and somehow we managed to get a stroller through there. But it was just like too much. So my wife was like, if this is your thing, you can go, but like, we're out for the future. Like, no. And so the next time I went, I was just wandering around, and I was seeing people just broken costumes. And every year there is a repair booth, but it's just lost in the maze. They move it every year. They do hang out a sign, but there's so many banners of stuff that just goes unnoticed. And I was like, they need mobile medics. So I just started doing it. Like, I printed a vinyl sign and did like this 10-foot PVC like pipe, and I just carry around this banner, and people would be like, you need to wear a cape or you need to wear scrubs. So little by little, it just increases year after year. So now I wear scrubs. Now I know to wear knee pads. If you spend so much time crouching down, it's just murder on a concrete floor. Now I wear like a bright colored bandana so people can see me in the crowd.
You even got on the news too. You were on the local news.
Yeah, I've been in the paper. I've been on the news. Like, it's crazy. And I feel bad because I didn't go to this past one. And I don't remember if they had one before that or if they were going to and then canceled it last minute. But like I said, I've got a bad back. So walking around on concrete floors for 3 days, like, I've lost toenails to doing this. My knees hurt. My back hurts. I learned the hard way. I get cortisone shots in my back twice a year. And I learned the really hard, worst way possible. Don't delay getting the cortisone shot until after Comic-Con. Do it before. Because there was one that after 3 days of that, I couldn't bend over anymore. Like, I'd come hang out at Jason's booth, and they'd be like, you want to sit down? I'm like, I can't sit down because I can't get back up.
You'll break. Your back will break.
Yeah. And it's fun, but it's hard, and I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore. And then I feel horrible because I'm like, people know to look for me. I've been doing this for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, whenever that first one was.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I would be there opening day. I would hang out by the front, like where people have to queue up in this huge line that just snakes back and forth, because like they just know to look for the sign. And I'd be fixing people's stuff. Like I'd park over at City Creek and walk over, and I would be fixing people's stuff on the sidewalk on the way to the salt palace.
Oh, wow.
They're doing it while people are in line, walking around doing it. But then if I'm not there when the doors open Saturday morning, if I show up at like noon, I walk in and I'm on the escalator and people are like, "You're here. We've been looking for you for 3 hours." And I'm like, "Sorry."
He became a local hero. It's crazy.
You just need to train some costume med students
Those costume
to take
nurses,
over.
You know?
Yeah, costume
That's
nurses.
the cool thing.
Have these,
Yeah,
have
is
these
my
like
niece.
costume med students following you around taking notes so they can pick up
Yeah.
the legacy when you're,
Hold my
you're
clipboard,
not able to
resident.
do it.
Yeah. Be like the old guy in the wheelchair. I could be like House, just walk with a cane. And I'm like, "Fix it this way. Use a zip tie."
It's like
What's the
popping
matter with
pills
you?
and
Yeah.
eating
Clear.
handfuls of pills.
I am. I have to take my bottle of like anti-anxiety and muscle relaxer just to get through the weekend. But
One more
Yeah, my
reason
niece-
why being 40 sucks.
yes, it catches up to you. Everybody told me like when you turn 30, all the stupid stuff you did as a teenager catches up to you. And
Yeah.
it's like I made it to 31 and then it hit me. And then add another 10 years to that. And I didn't get any smarter since I was a teenager, so I still do stupid shit to hurt myself all the time.
Well, we don't call it
Costume
Brokeback
medicine being one
Mountain
of
for
them.
nothing, you know? So
Exactly.
our Cheyenne,
But-
it broke your back, and that's why.
It was.
Wait till you get to be these guys' age.
Hey.
These guys are falling apart as we speak.
I'm 42, Zach.
Yeah, but it's a hard 42.
Yeah. The difference between 40 and 42 is massive.
Somehow it's an
Yeah,
odd
I mean-
number when it's you.
Yeah, Jason's the barometer I measure a lot of things against, and I'm like, man, if that's what the next year's bringing, it's gonna hit hard. Like,
Oh, dear. Well,
yeah,
I
but
hope
I am trying to train up other costume medics because my niece came with my sister-in-law and her husband, and pretty much as soon as they walked in, she was like, "I'm going with him," and we just wandered around, and she thought it was like the coolest thing because you feel like a celebrity. Like people come running up to you, and when they did I'll just be walking around and people be like, "Can I get a picture? Can I get a picture?" And my thing, per Jason's suggestion, was because I do it for free. I'm like, if you want to tip me, that's fine, but like I barely make enough to buy like a beer and a pretzel. So it's not. I don't do it for money by any stretch.
he does it for the
but
people.
Yep.
I do, and yeah. So my fee for fixing people's costumes is like, you got to let me get a picture with you. And they're like, okay. And so there's like reporters and stuff there. So I'm used to people stopping me. Like, hey, can we get a picture? And then one guy just comes up to me with a camera and he's like, hey, I'm with, I think it was like Channel 4 or Channel 5, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like, tell me about what you do. And I thought we were just going to be like, 10, 20 seconds, like just give him a spiel. And he's like, okay, let's get you mic'd up. And I was like,
Mic'd
What?
All
up.
right.
and they did.
You mean you're not a
they did an
podcaster?
interview. Yeah.
You're like legit.
And yeah. And I'm standing there like doing and like, and they're like, we'll talk to you for a minute and then we'll step back and they're like, do you keep moving or do you like stay in one spot? And I was like, I just hold up the sign and people find me. And while I'm helping people, some girl comes over and they're talking to her while I'm helping this other person. And they're like, how did you find him? Like, how did you hear about this? And she's like, oh, he's helped me like every year. And I'm like, that's cool that like people remember me for that. And I'm like, yeah, I accept. But yeah, so I do need to get like assistance though, because my niece thought it was just the coolest thing, and she's like, "People like know you for this," and I was like, "Well, I've been doing it for years." Yeah,
We need
and
to
I'm
get-
like, "That's why I feel guilty."
We need to get a statue made of like polystyrene or something of you. You know, just put it somewhere in the in memory.
Burn it in effigy.
No, in loving memory.
People are gonna think he's dead though.
That's the idea.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
if you put like his year of birth, and then this year, in loving memory of the costume medic.
The costume medic.
The hero we needed.
Yeah, they're like, what?
It's like 1980 to 2022.
The hero we needed, but not the hero we wanted.
Yeah, the hero we deserve. Yeah,
But you're a hero amongst heroes. There's all these Superman and Batman walking around, and you're the biggest hero of them all, it sounds like.
And the best part is Zach at FanX gets mistaken for Zach Galifianakis.
At times.
And say people even hear people call him, "Hey Zach," and so that just adds to it.
I told him he should like put sunglasses on sometime and just hang out by the celeb op, alley,
Make some money.
and just take pictures of people.
Hey, bargain basement Zach Galifianakis picture for $5.
yeah.
No, pretend to really
He's
be
the
him.
poor man, Zach Galifianakis.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great value.
Sweet. Well, should we move on to show and tell?
We shall.
I shouldn't telegraph it. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. And now it's time for show and tell.
All right. I love those cuts that you've got, Zach. Those are awesome.
Thanks.
So, who wants to go first today?
I guess I'll go.
Nice.
Everybody's looking around like they don't know what's going on.
John and I suddenly look at the ground.
Yeah, it's like when the teacher calls on the class and everybody's like instantly looking at their shoes. I don't know.
Oh, my shoes. They're there.
Huh, that's where I left them. On my feet the whole
are
time.
these Chuck Taylors? Is that what they call them?
I wonder how much those cost. All right. So mine is from Cracked, because why not? And this is by J. Hall Comics, October 5th, 2021. 14 facts about Betty White, America's grandma.
Yay.
Oh.
We love Betty White.
Her first marriage was a 6-month bang fest that quickly ended. Betty married her first husband, U.S. Army pilot and chicken farmer Dick Barker, in 1945. They met while she served in the Women's Voluntary Services and quickly tied the knots so that, as she put it, they could sleep together. They spent 6 months in her bed together, and those are in quotation marks, spent 6 months in bed together, but the farm life didn't suit her, so they were divorced. Number 13.
What? Wait a minute. I'm trying to picture her young, because when you tell that story, I'm picturing old Betty White.
Well,
No, just keep, that's
said
good.
1945.
I know.
So she'd have been, what, 23?
I know, but I'm still picturing her old, like having, passionate sex with this guy. And it's, frankly, it's helping.
Jason just can't help it, really.
I can't blame him either. All right. She won't be in a movie that calls for animal abuse. She turned down the role of Helen Hunt's mother as Good as It Gets because Jack Nicholson's character throws a poor puppy down a laundry chute. As an unabashed animal lover, Betty has worked with the Los Angeles Zoo since the 1960s.
Nice.
So this was obviously written before she passed away. All right. Number 12, she's a certified badass. As a member of the American Women's Voluntary Services, which provided support services to help the nation during World War II, Betty had to pause her burgeoning acting career to drive a supply truck to our troops' temporary quarters in the Hollywood Hills. Number 11, she was one of the first women producers in Hollywood. Betty became one of the first women producers in the early 1950s when she launched her series Life with Elizabeth. Based on a sketch she had done on local television, Betty had full creative control over the project, which she co-created, produced, and starred in. That's what she looked like younger.
Oh, I'm taking that to my fantasy.
Do you want me to send that to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going on a fantasy reel along with my orangutan pictures.
Because you've got your 5, right? And Betty's in there, obviously.
Right.
She should count as 2. Just being, I'm just saying. All right. Number 10, she's been winning for decades. For a career spanning 65 years, Betty has received her share of awards. Betty has 21 nominations and 5 Primetime Emmys, 4 Golden Globe nominations, 5 nominations, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, a Lifetime Achievement, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Grammy, and a coveted Teen Choice Award for Best Dance.
And she killed a Balrog.
I'm sure she did. At 99 years old, she still eats like a college freshman. According to Betty's Hot in Cleveland co-star, Jane Leaves, Betty subsists on red vines, hot dogs, French fries, and Diet Coke. Leaves goes on to suggest that the preservatives in her diet are aiding the star to keep her preserved, but we suggest consulting your doctor to see if the Betty White diet is right for you.
Yeah, I saw her with a quote when someone asked the secret to her long life, and she said vodka and hot dogs.
Good for her.
She should have said like the blood of children or something.
She eats glass ceilings for breakfast.
Not literally.
Not
Oh,
literally.
sad.
Oh.
That's how she died, guys. Betty became the honorary mayor of Hollywood in 1955 after smashing through barriers in her early career. In 1950, Betty was nominated for an Emmy in the category for female performers, and a few years later, she was one of the first women to launch a show with full creative control, Life with Elizabeth. Number 7. Her first television appearance is Lost Media. Betty's first time on the small screen all the way back in 1939 was an experimental TV show in Los Angeles. Betty danced with the student body president of her high school while she wore her graduation dress to the tune of Merry Widow Waltz. The footage is lost, and even Betty doesn't remember what the show's name was.
Weird. That's like esoteric, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Some guy in like a cowboy hat's going to dig something up someday, and it's going to be that footage.
Yep, the aliens will find it, and they'll be like,
Right.
this is what life on Earth was. She was supposed to play Blanche on The Golden Girls. Betty was up for the role of Blanche, and her co-star Rue McClanahan was going to play Rose before the director realized the two actresses had already embodied those characters in previous shows. The roles were reversed, and McClanahan took on the oversexed Blanche, while Betty went against type to be the innocent but dim Rose.
I hope no one describes me as dim.
We don't, do we, John?
No. Don't worry, Jason. No one will talk about you at all after you die.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's even worse, isn't it?
No, depending on what you've done.
I might still call you dim after you die.
In my eulogy.
Yeah.
Dim is putting
dim,
it
but-
way too mildly.
He was dim but jolly. That's what I'll say.
We just flat out call you a dumbass behind
You're
your back.
just going to get up at the pulpit and like, Jason was a dick.
It's like, thank you. It's been a great funeral.
Number 5.
This casket's just filled with gummy bears.
John!
They're the ones you tried to leave at my house 50 years earlier.
He's giving you 50 more years
I
to
know,
live.
that's not going to happen.
Like, wow. A rose by any, and then that's crossed out, no other name. She's very consistent. Betty appeared in 4 different TV shows over the course of 7 years as the character Rose Nyland. The Golden Girls in 1985, Empty Nest in 1988, Nurses in 1991, and The Golden Palace in 1992.
And the little known golden shower that I rented from that CD bookstore and video store.
Yeah, back when Blockbuster used to have the back room.
Yeah.
The Golden Girls themed sex.
The beaded curtain, you know?
Yeah.
Number 4, she's had the longest TV career of any woman. In 2014, Betty was officially awarded the Guinness World Record for longest TV career for an entertainer female. Her career at the time of the record spanned 74 years, and she still shows no signs of stopping. Aww.
That was 2014, though, so she got a good 7 years after that.
Yeah, she
No, this
did.
one was written in 2021, October.
Oh, was it?
Oh,
Okay.
sad.
It says she got the record in 2014.
Yeah.
So she
Oh, I
added
see what you're
7 years
saying.
to the record after getting it.
Sorry, I thought you meant the time this was written. Just tell me to shut up and smack me like a bitch.
I can't. You're all intimidating looking now. The bald head and the big beard. You've gone full Viking.
Grr. I'm so scary. Number 3, she's got a hot dog named after her. The Betty White Naked Dog is served by the famous Pink's Hot Dog in Hollywood, where Betty would frequent. The dog, like the name suggests, is just how Betty likes it, a plain wiener on a bun, no condiments. Jason.
Random, but have you guys ever been to Nomad Eatery? They have a pizza named after Betty White.
Do they really?
Oh, nice.
You know how there's like a white pizza at some
Yeah.
restaurants? They'd have theirs, the Betty White pizza.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
So yeah.
Number 2, she's a supporter of gay rights. Betty has gone on record saying that on the subject of gay marriage, I don't know how people can get so anti-something. She goes on to say, mind your own business, take care of your own affairs, and don't worry so much about other people.
The picture in that shows a bunch of muscular, shirtless men like fawning all over her. It's
Did
pretty
you want that?
interesting.
Do you want me to send you that picture too?
No, it makes me jealous.
And number 1, her first name is not short for anything. Betty is her legal name, and despite her first TV series, it's not short for Elizabeth. Her parents chose this so she wouldn't have to deal with her name being shortened to Beth, Liz, or Lizzie.
Oh.
And that's my ode to Betty White.
To Betty White.
Right on.
May she rest in peace until someone brings her back with necromancy.
Oh, someday soon.
All right, John.
She has to be a head in a jar on Futurama. Like, if they have not done that,
Right.
they really missed the mark.
I
Yes.
thought they had done that.
Maybe they have.
Maybe I'll have to look it up now. You're up, John. You got another tribute to Betty White?
No.
All right. Well, you're not up.
All right. Do you have one?
No.
All right. I'll just go with plain old news stories then. This one's from the Metro News. Someone named Jimmy McCloskey, October 4th, 2019. A high-tech police robot told a woman to go away when she tried to report a crime, then trundled away while singing a song.
So it sounds like they programmed it like real police.
Swing low.
Coco Gubara rushed over to the motorized police officer and pushed its emergency alert button on seeing a violent brawl breaking out nearby in Salt Lake Park, Los Angeles. But instead of offering assistance, the egg-shaped robot, whose official name is HP RoboCop, barked at Guabara to step out of the way. To add insult to injury, the high-tech device then rolled away while humming an intergalactic tune, pausing periodically to say, "Please keep the park clean." Guabara told the NBC News, "I was pushing the button, but it said step out of the way." Here's a picture of the robot.
It looks like a doofus.
Exactly. It just kept ringing and ringing, and I kept pushing and pushing. The concerned bystander thought the 5-foot-tall robot might have needed to see her face before it began to work, so she crouched down in front of his camera. But the egg-shaped device still didn't work, forcing Guabara to call 911 on her own phone instead. Officers from the Huntington Park Police Department finally arrived 15 minutes later after the fight had ended. It left one woman with a bad head wound, which saw her stretchered into an ambulance and taken to a hospital for emergency treatment. Local police chief Cosme Lozano says the robots, which cost between $60,000 to $70,000 a year to lease, are still in the trial phase, and that their alert buttons have not yet been activated. So why are they out there patrolling the streets if they're not functional?
To make sure you keep the park clean, John.
So that's a far cry from Ed 209.
A little bit, yeah. It says any help.
That's what's freaking me out. Is I'm thinking of like Ed
starts out
209,
with
but as like that
these.
Eevee robot from Wall-E.
Yeah, it
Please
it
step out of
kinda
the way.
does.
You're blocking the plant life. Step out of the way now. And like cocks its missiles at you.
Counting down. If you saw the picture of this robot, it's a lot less menacing than
Yeah, it's
Ed
a-
209.
It looks like Eve.
Giant egg
Yeah.
timer.
Does any
It's
help?
like Ron's gone wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. It says,
Alert button in beta test.
any help requests are currently sent to a company called Nightscope, which creates and leases the robots. Lozano added that once the robot completes its trial, calls made using its alert button will actually be sent straight to dispatch. It also says other versions of the same model have previously hit the headlines after one fell into a fountain in Washington, D.C. And it says a third HP RoboCop struck a child while patrolling a mall in California's Silicon Valley.
Dumb robots.
Stupid robots.
Because it doesn't sound like it like ran into the kid. It reached out with this little like retractable Eevee arm and just backhanded him. Please step out of the way.
That's awesome. This is one that was posted on Father's Day, June 6th, 2014, from a paper called the ITV News. Guinea pig to become father of 400 after breaking into female enclosure and impregnating 100 female guinea pigs.
My man.
It's a staff.
Jason's done that same thing, actually.
This guinea pig is my hero. Until like the child support checks start coming in.
I just broke into the sperm bank and filled up all the vials. I didn't actually have sex with anyone.
The staff,
Jason puts the vial in sperm bank.
staff at Hatton Country World in Warwickshire, I think that's in England, couldn't understand why they suddenly had 100 pregnant female guinea pigs on their hands. Until they realized one of the male rodents had managed to escape his enclosure and infiltrate the female-only enclosure. They noticed that the exhausted father-to-be, which they nicknamed Randy for obvious reasons, had lost a little weight, but did not realize why until they discovered he was actually a male rodent being kept busy in the wrong pen. The animal park, which already has 300 male and female guinea pigs, is now readying itself for a population boon in the next few weeks.
He hit the guinea pig jackpot.
Oh, yeah. Manager Richard Craddock said, one of our male guinea pigs managed to find his way into the female enclosure, and he had a very good time by the looks of it. We suspect a child may have placed him back in the wrong pen by accident after stroking him. Or Randy may have somehow broken out of his enclosure to get to the females.
Life finds a way.
We
That's
believe
what I was going to say. I'm picturing like
Jeff Goldblum
like
saying,
Jeff Goldblum stroking
Life.
this guinea pig, and he's like, "Go, Randy."
life finds a way. We believe that the newly named Randy could have impregnated up to 100 female guinea pigs, which each have litters of about 4. So if you do the maths, we could be expecting quite a baby boom.
Or a guinea pig army.
Is it bad that I envy this rodent?
Oh no, this pig has it made.
Yeah, those sexy, sexy guinea pigs.
Wait, you meant like literally envied him?
Yes.
Oh, I'm kind of concerned.
So we don't know how long Randy was in the female enclosure, but it could have been several weeks, which would have given him time to go around the entire female population. Staff did comment that he looked a little thinner than before. He's now rejoined his male friends, and clearly he's got a lot of bragging to do.
He's just high-fiving.
Staff are now looking to build an extension to the guinea pig farm to accommodate Randy's brood.
Call it Randy's wing.
He almost done sexed himself to death.
That guinea pig is a hero. So going from animal heroes to human heroes, this is one published by Live Science, August 24th, 2012. Man bites snake to death in revenge. A Nepali man who is bitten by an Indian spectacled cobra subsequently bit the snake to death in an act of revenge, a local newspaper reported on Thursday.
Well, if you're going to die, you might as well take him down with you.
After being bitten by the snake while he was working in his rice paddy on Tuesday, 55-year-old Muhammad Salmo chased the snake, caught it, and bit it to death. The Annapurna Post reported. Maya was quoted as saying, "I could have killed it with a stick, but I bit it with my teeth instead because I was angry."
Yep.
Did he survive or did he die?
Actually, it says he survived.
So he beat the snake.
And it says, at the end, it says, in short, a snake has died of man bite. Take that.
Man, snake bites man, man bites snake, snake dies.
Snake dies.
I just picture him like, he's got this thing stretched out like a licorice whip, and just like between every chomp, he's like, "How do you like it? How do you like
that,
it?"
bitch?
Eating it like corn on the cob.
He's like ripping his throat out. And... Oh, yeah. Here's one from, let's see. Global News by Elton Hobson, August 17, 2015. Man tries to rob a convenience store with a sword, only to be turned away by a clerk who had a bigger sword.
All right.
For a few tense, surreal moments Friday night, a Pittsburgh corner store was transformed into something out of Game of Thrones. That's because a would-be robber tried to hold up the store with a sword, only to discover the clerk was armed with a sword of his own. It happened this past Friday night at the Perry Market in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Two unknown juveniles ran into the store, one of whom was brandishing a sword. The unknown man holding the sword ran behind the counter to demand cash, and that's when the store clerk reached for a blade of his own, a full-length scimitar.
You have given offense.
And just like that, battle was joined in the aisles of a Pittsburgh corner store. For a few seconds, anyway. Apparently, the clerk, just like with the scimitar, slapped the sword out of the other guy's hand. It says both would-be robbers booked a hasty retreat in the face of the scimitar-wielding clerk. One of the unidentified robbers tried to grab a handful of shirts, which he promptly dropped upon running into his partner in crime on the way out the door.
I wanted you to say, like, but he was, like, stuck in the back after the guy launched the scimitar through the air, you know, like in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
If he'd, like, impaled them together, like if they're standing front to back, he threw the sword and, like, shish kebab them together. That would have been the most awesome ending of a story of all time.
And they missed.
The clerk was quoted as saying, "There can only be one."
You stole Zach's thunder.
Not at all.
He's ruining the day.
I'm ruining the day, though. I'm shaking my fist at the clouds.
Ramirez.
This is a heartwarming story. It's posted in something called Fast Track from November 10th, 2014. Headline says, guy goes to Mexico to kill himself, spends a week doing coke and banging hookers, then decides to keep living. This might be the first time anyone's ever said this, but $2,000 spent on a trip to Mexico, a cab ride, a seedy hotel room, excessive amounts of cocaine, and a hooker orgy legitimately saved a man's life. Amidst a battle of debilitating depression, he traveled to Mexico to purchase chemicals to humanely end his life. The aptly named Reddit user, Please Send Help, shares his story involving ripping lines of coke off hookers' boobs, battling whiskey and coke dick with Viagra, multiple threesomes, and of course all of this which eventually rekindled his will to live.
How much is that vacation going to cost me again?
That's the
And then he
nuclear
gets back to
option.
his cushy cubicle job, and he's just like, "Yeah, I want to die again. I gotta go back to Mexico."
Yep.
His Reddit post says, went to Mexico to buy barbiturates for a humane and peaceful death. Decided that if I was going to die anyway, I might as well bang a prostitute before it was all over. After that, a cab driver offered to sell me cocaine. One thing led to another. And I got a room above a whorehouse equipped with a heart-shaped bed, a stripper pole, and a hot tub. Spent a full week snorting coke off boobs, popping pain meds, drinking tequila, eating handfuls of Viagra to fight the whiskey and coke dick, and had 3 FFM threesomes. Somewhere in the midst of my coke-fueled orgy, I decided, you know what, life isn't so bad after all. He then packed his shit up and headed back home, STD-free.
Oh, lucky guy.
So again, how much is that going to cost me?
You call the suicide helpline, and it's like, this is the nuclear option.
Yeah.
You know, if you're depressed, I wouldn't recommend a coke-fueled hooker orgy, but I wouldn't not recommend it either.
Yeah, it sounds like it worked.
It worked for this guy, so good on him. You do you, buddy.
You just activated Echo with that for some reason.
Oh.
Just so you know.
Okay, well, that was the last news story I have, so
That
You're
was
up.
wonderful.
you're up, Jason.
Well, I wanted to see, Chuck, did you have any show and tell you wanted to share with us this tonight?
Well, not that can follow that. I mean, we got 14 facts of Betty White, Randy the guinea pig, the Pittsburgh Highlander.
Well, why don't you go ahead and share anyway? You have the guest floor tonight.
You're an anthropologist,
well,
right? Do you have any good anthropology stories or?
So I studied anthropology. I often wonder what life would have been like, because I had a couple professors that wanted me to stay and do grad school because, as they put it, we need a shovel monkey. We're too old to trek through the jungles anymore. So I considered it, but then I was like, Tommy boy, I'd been in college for 7 years and I just wanted to get out and get a job. But yeah, I mean, I could get you really weird anthropology facts, but nothing that's going to follow Randy the guinea pig and $2,000 above a whorehouse.
Yeah, I should have had you go before John. He's got a way of being. If you have anything to share, though.
I wish I could remember the source. Like I read it a couple of years ago, or a couple of weeks ago, that they discovered a couple of years ago that they now say the use of fire by early hominids, it could have been as much as 100 to 150,000 years earlier, which like turns a whole bunch of crap on its ear, because something like that, like it changes the timeline of evolution. Because just quick nerd out, if you go to the Museum of Natural History and there's like the wall of skulls that's got like from 4 million years ago to modern, the skulls don't do it justice, because it gives you the facial features and the teeth and the size of the brain pan and the strength of the jaw and blah 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 blah. But prior to what they thought was like the defining thing of the use of fire, was the gut was a lot bigger, because they were eating raw food, like lots of grasses.
So I'm like reverse evolution. That's what's going on with me.
Yeah, exactly. Jason's not just fat; he's got a small brain.
I'm just glad you finished that sentence with brain.
We use the word dim.
He's not going to sire no 400 guinea pigs. That's for damn sure.
No matter how hard he tries.
Yeah, and try as he might. Try as he has.
That's it. I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah, he's like, screw you guys. I need $2,000 in trip to Mexico.
I mean, that guy pretty much did the same thing the guinea pig did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
But guinea pigs don't need blow and Viagra to do their thing.
What's the guinea pig to woman conversion rate? Like, how many guinea pigs equal a woman?
We thought you, of all people, would know.
Go to PetSmart and ask that.
Yeah, he's like, I can't tell you how much Coke and Viagra I did before I broke into that guinea pig wing.
See if they'll still sell you a guinea pig after you ask that question first.
Well,
Jason's like, I hear the record is like 3 weeks and 400 kids later.
You got to have aspirations and goals, right?
Randy.
Well, sorry.
You'll never look at guinea pigs the same way again.
No, and you got to send me that, because I want to send it to my sister, because she has a couple guinea pigs and she likes guinea pigs.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But anyway.
Seriously, like Jason's search history isn't damning enough, but then when they look at the attachments he sent of like Betty White, horny guinea pigs.
I'm a writer, okay?
Yeah, it can all be justified.
Oh, man. Well, we're about up against our time.
Yep.
Chug, it's been great having you, and we want you to come back sometime if you're willing. And you need to.
Yeah, but that means I got to accomplish something before next time.
I was gonna say, get back.
Schedule me like 2 years out, and we'll see what happens.
That's not a no. So, but thanks for joining us. And
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been fun. It's been super fun. So, all right. See you next time.